All right, so here at Buffalo Comic Con, we made a lot of friends. We met a lot of contacts and a lot of cool people, but there's one friend in particular I'm going to tell you guys about, and this is endorsed by not only Nerdynomicon, but also Couldn't Be Models.
Hi, I'm Michelle Cromwell with Cromwell's Curiosity Shop, and we have a booth at pretty much all of the local comic book conventions, and we sell polymer clay jewelry that is mostly cameos, but we're spreading out into other stuff, and the entire purpose of our shop is to provide cosplay pieces for people that have historical superhero costumes or unusual anime costumes that are original, that are looking for pieces that they cannot find anywhere else.
Oh, we love cosplay here at Artful Gremlins, okay? We love cosplay so much, but we also have a lot of international listeners. Where can they find your stuff online?
All of our stuff online is at www.cromwell.biz. We are also on Etsy, and we are also on Facebook under Cromwell's Curiosity Shop.
You heard it here, guys. You heard it here. You want cosplay? You need to go to Cromwell. Cosplay? Cromwell. It's synonymous, man. Welcome to the Nerdynomicon. I'm Robbie.
I'm Brooke, and I was just drinking a beer.
I'm Adrian, and I was not drinking a beer.
That's true.
Sorry, guys. I was literally just took a drink as he was introducing us. And this is the Nerdynomicon. Continue.
So, we're going to do things a little bit different today. All right. This is pretty much going to be almost entirely reviews because the new shows for fall have officially dropped. We've got a lot of shows that have been around for a while, but we got a few new ones. But before we get to that, I want to touch on a couple of the shows that we're going to be talking about.
Mm-hmm. I have something to say after that, too.
Oh, sure. We're going to talk about The Exorcist, brand new series, following a well-established IP.
It's following a horse ranch, right?
Yes.
People who are on horses?
Exactly.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about Lethal Weapon.
That's a romantic comedy about two ladies?
It is. Also, based on a well-established IP. The only bit of news that I'm going to give you this week is there's two more shows based on previously developed IP that is coming to television. The first one, we have Camelot being developed by Fox.
Isn't there already three? Merlin just come out 5 years ago, and then there was another Camelot show by the BBC with a bunch of people in it. Eva Green was in it. I think she played Morgana.
There was a Camelot trailer that just dropped at Comic-Con.
Camelot's not that interesting. Nobody really cares. I mean, there's enough British people on horses. Let's just move away from that genre.
They've got a different twist on this.
Let me guess. They're magic. Oh, you told me that it's a girl.
It's a police procedural. This really is the formula here. When an ancient magic reawakens in modern-day Manhattan, a graffiti artist named Art must team up with his best friend Lance.
A graffiti artist named Art?
Yes.
They really stretched that there.
He teams up with his best friend Lance and his ex-girlfriend Gwen. An idealistic cop.
Arthur, Lancelot, and Guinevere. They did Art, Lance, and Gwen?
Yep.
I hate them.
In order to realize his destiny and fight back against the evil forces that threaten the city.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm relatively sure he's going to be hanging out with an old guy named Merle in there somehow as well.
Yeah, that makes me want to slap people's faces off.
If that one makes you want to slap people's faces off, you're going to love this next one. NBC, not to be outdone by Fox, is doing a updated version of Oliver Twist. In this police procedural, Twist will explore a sexy contemporary take on the classic tale, according to the network. It will star a struggling 20-something female named Twist, who finally finds a true sense of family in a strange group of talented outcasts who use their unique skills to take down wealthy criminals.
That makes me angry because you could actually do Oliver Twist in this day and age, and it could be really diverse of a cast. You could have a lot of and just have it be street urchins. They're still poor people. Let's just have it be street urchins fighting crime.
Yeah, Twist is going to be a sexy cop. Art is going to be a graffiti artist teaming up with a sexy cop. Both of them police procedurals. So yeah, this is legitimately happening. Both of those shows, one coming to Fox, one coming to NBC. Okay, Exorcist, which we're going to be talking about today. That one's on Fox. What channel is Lethal Weapon on? That one's on Fox too, isn't it?
I think that's Fox, yeah.
Man, Fox is bringing it hard with pre-established IP. Nothing new has been coming out from them in quite some time.
I had no idea either of these were in the works. Both of them kind of sound like bad ideas, but I want to see the train wreck that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
Sadly, I do, yeah.
It's kind of like when I tried to watch The Cobbler, which is an Adam Sandler movie on Netflix, and I got maybe 30 minutes into it. I wanted to see
you were
the train
texting
wreck.
me about that in real time.
It was difficult. I don't know. Maybe the buildup was taking too long, or I just don't have the attention span anymore, or it's just potentially just a terrible movie. I don't know. It could be any of those.
I'm gonna vote for the latter on that. Yeah,
but it's like, I don't know. I made it either 30 or 40 minutes into it, and I feel like nothing was really happening. And it's like, okay, this movie isn't that long. You can't spend you can't spend a third of it doing nothing or setting up for nothing.
What movie are we talking
that's
about?
pretty much what Adam Sandler does. The Cobbler.
Never heard of it.
Adam Sandler flick on Netflix.
I refuse to believe Adam Sandler is a person.
I will say they did have an ingenious way around Adam Sandler's acting or lack thereof in all of his later movies. So you notice how he never really acted that much to begin with, but a lot of his later movies, he just totally gave up. He just doesn't even try anymore.
Yep.
So the whole plot of The Cobbler is like he fixes shoes, and he has his father fixed shoes and his grandfather fixed shoes. And somewhere along the line, they helped some random vagrant back in the 16 or 17 or 1800s, who the fuck knows. And that person didn't have any money to pay, but they helped him anyways. And then in the morning he was gone, but there was this shoe fixing machine in his place that was just left there. And so like when he fixes people's shoes with that machine and then puts them on, he looks exactly like that person. So
wow.
For Adam Sandler to not be able to act or to not have to act, they just, I'm going to put on somebody else's shoes and make that person act. It was ridiculous.
Oh my freaking God.
There's a new show by the guy who did Supernatural and Revolution.
Oh.
Called Timeless. It's basically Doctor Who.
Ooh,
Basically,
you know what show you guys should start watching? We haven't watched it yet, but I saw a preview of it. I think it's called Westworld. It's on HBO.
Oh, we've already seen it.
Ah, you bastards.
I have. I don't know about you. With your
I didn't watch it yet. You watched Westworld without me?
I've also seen the 1970s movie that it's based on.
Well, I've seen the 1970s movie that it's based on.
With Yul Brynner. He's in that.
Wild Wild West?
I've seen that one.
No, it's called Westworld. It's from the 70s with Yul Brynner.
Did it involve a giant mech spider? All steampunk and whatnot?
No! I'm going to hit you both with things.
It didn't involve
Anyways, the guy who wrote Supernatural also wrote a show called Timeless, which is basically a bunch of a history professor, a soldier, and what was the other thing? A scientist have to go back in time to stop a criminal from changing the past.
That sounds like Time Cop.
It does sound like Time Cop, but I heard a preview for it on the way to work, and I thought it sounded weird, so I'm talking.
Wow.
About it. So I have no point. I have nothing to say about it. I'm just letting you know.
So you're just letting us know that is in fact a thing.
It exists.
Wow. People are getting lazy at these studios.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting so lazy. Well, you know what? Enough talking about the bad shit that's happening to us or going to be happening to us. Let's talk about the shit that's happening now. A couple of shows that have come back, and in my opinion, come back hard. New Girl came back with a vengeance.
New Girl is always good. It's always classy.
Modern Family back with a vengeance.
Love Modern Family. I think it's funny as hell.
Absolutely
People don't. I don't care what people think. I think it's funny. It makes me laugh.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know for a fact Adrian watches this one.
I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
What a funny season.
Yeah, it's looking really good. I was surprised with the first episode. I think it's just the two main characters. There's like half the majority of the cast isn't in it, but in the subsequent episodes they bring them back. It's interesting.
It really is. I mean, they're going hard. They're bringing it back very strong. A show that, we've talked about on here before, started out great, got terrible, and then ended great, and it's doing it again, and it's starting out hysterical, even better than last season. Scream Queens coming back with a serious vengeance.
Never seen it. I tried to watch it last season, and I hated it.
I know. I tried to subject you to it. Adrian, you fell into the same trap, and you agree with me. Started out great, got really, really, really bad.
Yes, and I did not get to the gets good again, and I don't think I ever will.
Just ripped off Heathers. That's all he did.
I'm aware.
It's literally Heathers including even the aesthetic.
Mhm.
He clear like the 3 Chanels are just the 3 Heathers. I mean, they have the
Mhm.
exact same dynamic between the 3 Heathers and the 3. And
Yep.
there's clearly like there's no. The problem is it's even worse because there's no cool Veronica character and no cool JD. You can't. I mean, it's a pointless show, and I hate it, and I want to slap Ryan Murphy's face.
Season 2, in my personal opinion, it's coming back hysterical. It's coming back hard. John Stamos is in it, and thank God,
Love John Stamos.
thank God they got rid of that annoying chick with the hats all the time.
You mean the main character?
Yeah, the main character.
She's gone?
Yeah, she's gone.
That sucks.
She's completely gone.
Wasn't she like super important?
Yeah, to last season, and she's completely gone.
So she's the Mr. Schuster's wife?
Yeah, basically.
That's hilarious.
Basically. So, Scream Queen's coming back hard, but enough about the shows that have already been. Let's talk about the new shows that have just arisen. Adrian, you take us there first.
I have to say the one I think I'm the most impressed with was Lethal Weapon. I was fortunate enough to catch a screening at the Television Fest we have here in Austin a couple months ago, and I was blown away because I thought for sure it was going to be a lazy cash-in, just crappy, just we can't think of anything. We'll pay for the Lethal Weapon name and we'll toss a couple guys on the screen and we'll let them run around for a couple episodes and then we'll get canceled. But at least we tried. That
Right.
was like 100%. I was like, this is what it's going to be. And I saw it, and I've actually rewatched it a couple of times since it's been released to the public now. And I've been surprised every time. Just like the acting is awesome. There's fantastic action. There is great moments of drama. The stories are good. It's a fun cop, like procedural cop show.
I'm going to
with,
have to
like,
disagree with you. I hate it.
Explosions. Well,
I
you're
hate
wrong.
it. I think the guy who plays Riggs is generic as hell. That's the white guy, right?
Yeah. that's the one.
Generic as hell. I feel like they cast the most bland white man on the planet. They said blandest white man ever. He's not funny. He's not charming. He's not cute. I hate his acting. The only person who's good is Damon Wayans. The tone, they do not understand tone on that show. Like, pick a lane, people. It's trying too hard to be like NYPD Blue meets like not NYPD, like a joke. If they don't understand tone on that show to save their lives, I hate it. It makes me want to punch people's hate faces in. I think it's terrible, and I won't watch it again.
Really?
I hate it.
You think it's that terrible?
So bad. The only person who's good is Damon Wayans Jr., and he's hilarious.
Senior.
Or sorry, senior. Damon Wayans Jr. is good too. I don't believe the chemistry between him and the other guy. There's no chemistry between them. I feel like he's showing the whole show, and I don't buy the guy whose like wife and child died, and he's kind of like he seems mildly sad about it. He seems like I had to put my puppy down. Like he doesn't seem sad about it. I don't buy him being sad. I know this as a parent. I know how devastated it would be, and he's like, oh look at me, I'm doing crazy shit because my family died. It's like I feel like you were just doing crazy shit because you're crazy. I don't buy any character development from that character. Ugh, I hate, and he's so bland and generic. Like my God, like they couldn't have cast somebody with a little bit more, I don't know, something. He's like every time I see him, he even looks like oatmeal. His hair is literally
Like
the color.
oatmeal?
His hair is literally the color of oatmeal. His skin is the color of oatmeal. He looks like oatmeal. They even dress him in like not colors. They dress him in like browns and blues and grays. And I'm like, seriously, they can't put red on him, liven him up a bit. Oh, he's so boring. I'm like, dude, you need to go back to acting school and learn. I mean, I don't like Tom Cruise, but learn how to be charismatic like him.
You mean Mel Gibson?
No, I know Tom Cruise wasn't the guy. I'm saying he's very charismatic.
Oh,
You don't necessarily like him,
All
but he
right.
pops on screen.
Yeah,
This guy doesn't pop. He's boring, and I'm just like, okay, you need do a Darren 2 situation. Be bewitched on this bitch because you need a new Riggs. And if you don't like Riggs, you don't like the show. There's no show if you don't like Riggs. Murtaugh can only take it so far. Murtaugh's the straight guy. You have to like the wild. You have to like the loose cannon.
See, as far as my feelings, I fall more on Adrian's side, but I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Riggs does feel a bit generic to me.
Mm-hmm.
The number one qualm, and Adrian, I really think that you can agree with me on this. I mean, Brooke, you haven't watched any of the movies.
I've never seen the movie, so I'm not sure I'm the right person for this.
Adrian, you have seen the movies, right?
Yes, I have.
All right.
Including Lethal Weapon 5.
I've seen Lethal Weapon 5 and 6. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Dennis pretending to be Riggs and Matt
Always Sunny in
pretending to be
Philadelphia
Riggs
reference here.
have more, like, they're more charismatic on the screen than this guy.
Well, they're also doing blackface too. They kind of have to be.
But I'm
charismatic.
saying the joke, like, they're actually
Right,
more
right.
interesting for me to watch.
I understand that. Here's the number one qualm, and Adrian, I truly believe you're going to agree with me on this. I was waiting the entire first episode and the entire second episode for Murtaugh to say, I'm getting too old for this shit.
I got you. I see where you're coming from,
I
but I
heard-
feel like they're not that old yet, right? That's the whole point.
They're not that old when you watch Lethal Weapon. Danny
Oh,
Glover's only like 40.
Yeah, in the original two. In the original ones, yeah, exactly. That was my number one qualm, because that line is so damn iconic. The tonal issues, I understand exactly what Brooke is saying. It seems to be going for a split between procedural cop drama
Yep.
and
Psych.
Psych.
It's trying to
And
be
like that show
Law and
Psych.
Order and
Yeah.
Psych. It's really, really bad.
And the thing is, I cannot think of any hard action shows like Lethal Weapon that have ever been on television. I mean, Rush Hour tried and failed, and it did it in spectacular fashion. I mean, it wasn't even close to the TV show or to the movies. So to try to bring the action, the drama, and the comedy and all of that adrenaline from the movies onto the TV show, I didn't know how it would translate. I think it's interesting watching the first couple of episodes, but my biggest question is I'm not sure what kind of staying power the show has.
Yeah. Even if I like the show, I'd be able to agree with that. I don't know how long you can keep that going without it becoming just a generic cop show.
They
just
need to
becoming
find
Law
a
and Order,
feel.
just becoming Psych, just becoming. I can agree with you. Even if I was a fan, I agree. I don't know what kind of staying power it would have
Right.
without becoming just a procedural cop drama named Lethal Weapon.
And I like all 6 movies. All right. I enjoyed all of the Lethal Weapons. I like what I'm seeing, but it makes me nervous about the staying power.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Did we lose Adrian?
No, I'm here.
All right. I was just waiting for you to jump in and contribute.
Sorry. I mean, I think you guys pretty much said it.
I mean, you're coming from a platform. Brooke hated it. I didn't realize you hated it that vehemently. I like it. And you seem to come from the section of you loved it. I mean, what are your feelings about like the staying power and everything? About the formula that they've got, where they can kind of direct their focus? Do you think it's got staying power for longevity?
Probably not. I mean, I think each episode is basically going to center around what kind of stunts are they doing? What are they blowing up this week? What are they doing? You know, it's basically a new action movie pared down to 45 minutes when you remove the commercials every week, right? So yeah, it's going to be formulaic and a little boring. There's probably not going to be a lot of like plot arches going across the entire season. Maybe 1 or 2 small references. I don't know. I don't really see them doing a whole like, well, this mafia guy that we were fighting last week is now we're fighting his boss and across the country. You know, like there's not enough room to do that.
Right.
So it's just going to come down to like, okay, well, we're going to blow up this today, and we're going to flip this car in this week's episode, and so yeah, it's just going to be run around and have stunts and explosions. But there's nothing else on TV that's really doing anything like that.
That's true. That's definitely true. And honestly, I think that's both the best thing about it and also its biggest curse, because I don't know if the showrunners know what they want this show to be yet. And I really think that that's the number one issue. I can agree with you about Riggs. All right. I think his acting is okay at best.
I mean, he's not a bad actor in the sense that like he's clearly not like just reading lines.
He's not a
but
bad actor,
to me, I just feel like that character has to be, you have to really relate to him and really care about him. And to me, I'm just kind of like, ugh.
Those moments where he looks like where he's supposed to be tortured, like
I don't buy it.
When he's sitting down there at some of the dinners, like when Murtaugh's wife asks him, about his wife and everything, he's supposed to have that tortured look. Like him or hate him,
Looks like
Mel
he has,
Gibson could do it. You know what I mean?
He looked like he had heartburn. He looked like genuinely. I was like, dude, your wife died carrying your spoilers, carrying your child. Like you could be like a little bit like misty or like a little bit like harder, and he was kind of like,
oh my angina.
My anginas were hacking up. I was just, ugh. Maybe that just killed it for me, but I just did not like that. Like I did not connect with that actor. Maybe other people will. But to me, I'm also getting sick and tired, and I'm sorry I'm saying this to 2 white guys, getting a little sick and tired of the bland white guy in the lead. Even shows that are trying to be diverse still have bland white guys as the lead. And I'm getting, like, it's like, okay, guys.
Yeah, I can agree.
Why couldn't,
agree.
Riggs be, like, Asian?
That would be kind of cool, actually. I mean, honestly, I'm of the school, I want to see more Asian
Like
front
Henry
runners.
Cho, hell yeah, I love that guy.
Exactly. That was the number one reason that I was so pissed off about Selfie being canceled.
I'm just
because
thinking,
that show was amazing.
I'm thinking of every single police procedural that I can think of, even like the weird ones like Grimm, brown-haired white guy. Psych, brown-haired white guy. Law and Order, brown-haired white guy. Law and Order SVU, brown-haired white guy. It's like are they like afraid to have a police procedural that even not Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I love. Brown-haired white guy is the lead. Yes, there's a lot of diversity, but it's kind of like
Would you feel better with a ginger?
Yes. Holy shit! How cool would a ginger be? And I know, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you're just..." No, I'm not placating. It's just does kind of get a little boring to be like, if you guys are just gonna keep casting boring white guys, then people are just gonna keep being bored by your shows. I think that's why people are like gravitating to stuff like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and stuff. And yes, Daredevil technically is a white guy, but he's also blind, so it's cool. But like, right. And also that guy is just shooting, Oh,
Charlie Cox is phenomenal.
Charisma, holy crap.
It's true.
I think it's nice. I think that's why when Luke Cage came out, people were heralding it so much. It's because it's so unapologetically black, as they've even said. And that was nice. It was nice to be like, there is not one white person. There was one white person in any episode.
I was actually trying to do the list. We'll talk more about Luke Cage next week when we go hard in Luke Cage. But I'm really trying to count all the white people. There was the cop.
That was it.
The doctor.
Yeah. Was it?
I think that was it.
Everyone else is either. Or the one guy's Hispanic, right?
Shades, yeah,
I think the
Hispanic.
actor's Italian, but
I think the actor is Italian, but his last name is Alvarez.
Yeah,
he's definitely Hispanic.
So it's like it was nice. It was nice.
I agree.
That's why I like Jessica Jones. It was nice to have a female lead being badass too.
On this subject right here, I really think that that's why I kind of gravitated into Lethal Weapon a little bit more, is because I actually really grew up loving Damon Wayans Sr. And especially after all of his standing behind Cosby and Cosby Truther shit and everything like that, the main joke in Hollywood is that if you want to blow up your career, that's how you do it. And to see him come back and come back so hard, because Damon Wayans Sr. brought it. I still love his son a lot more.
Damon Wayans Jr. is the greatest.
In Happy Endings, in New Girl, Damon Wayans Jr. is fucking great.
So funny.
Oh my god, he's hysterical. The whole family is good.
Even if you don't necessarily like what the stuff they do, they're funny.
Right. But when Damon Wayans Sr. came on as Murtaugh, I really didn't care about it as far as the casting. I watched the pilot, especially on Adrian's recommendation. He brought it, and he brought it hard.
If I have to say one thing about that show I like, Damon Wayans Sr.
brought
the noise.
Oh, he
also
really
brought
did.
The funk,
He really did.
I think he brought the...
he's no Danny Glover, but you know what? He stands with Danny Glover on that.
Excellent.
He really does. He was great.
If there was any part of that show that I thought worked, it was him and his family. I thought they worked. I bought
their family dynamic was
great. I bought the chemistry between him and his wife. Yes. I believe that they have a newborn. Even though they have two teenagers, I buy that they have a newborn.
Yeah, they've got that passion and everything.
Yeah.
I love how she's always breaking his balls about his cardiac watch and everything, just keeping track of his heart rate.
And I buy the kids. They were usually teenagers can go one of two ways. They can either be really cool, or they can be really annoying. I liked his kids. So if there's something that was working on that show, it was that family. Everything else to me, I was like, let's get rid of everything else and just make it a show about them. They made that show. It was called Family Matters. But
now, who was the chief in that office there? That was Judge Reinhold, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
Adrian?
I am not sure. I'd have to look that up.
Well, their CO or the guy that pairs them up together, he had some moments too.
I think it was Judge Reinhold.
I think it is Judge Reinhold as well.
My name is Judge.
He had his moments too. He really did. But I agree with you a lot about Riggs, but the rest of the main cast really does seem to be bringing it. I think the number one issue is going to be staying power, figuring out their tone and what they want to do, because I think that they could be onto something. If they go hard into that action comedy and try to find a tone like Psych.
Action comedy is a lot like horror comedy, though. It's a really hard genre to pull
off.
But
you know what? Psych
did it great.
Psych did it great.
Psych was perfect. I loved Psych. That's an underrated show.
If you could have something like that with more explosions, I really think that you'd be onto something.
That was Lethal Weapon. That was just Lethal Weapon with a fake psychic. They already kind of did it. That was kind of that for me was you had the straight, the crazy guy, and you had the straight-laced guy kind of trying to always pull him back, and you had, the cops.
The formula was there. The formula was there.
It was a buddy cop show.
It was a buddy cop show. Well, a buddy, amateur psychic show. But the formula, what you're talking about, is there. But I think Lethal Weapon could be something.
Then I feel like they also have it with a show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, but that's pretty much straight comedy with a little bit of action.
I know, but
sprinkled
I
in.
feel like they have what I would want Lethal Weapon to be.
In Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
In Brooklyn Nine-Nine or in Psych. Put those two shows together, you got it. And I'm like, but the problem is when they do the dramatic moments that I've seen, it seems to come out of nowhere. Like, that's where I got really confused. Is like the comedy would be going great, and then all of a sudden, like Murtaugh would be like, my family's dead. Or sorry, Riggs would be like, my family's dead. I'd be like, weren't you just like laughing about like a dead hooker like 2 episodes? Like, what happened? Like, you changed on the tone so fast, and it isn't even like a subtle change where it's like maybe Riggs is just crazy. It was like it has like the dramatic music and it's like mood lighting, and I'm just like, I'm so confused. Weren't you guys just a comedy like 2 minutes ago, and now you're like NYPD Blue?
And
like,
see,
what is happening in this show?
That's the issue too. Is in a film that sort of turn on a dime can work.
It has to.
In a TV show, it's a lot more difficult, and the audience is going to be a lot less forgiving because there's a lot more time to explore that subject matter. You know, that's where I think they're going to run into a problem. Adrian loves it. I enjoy it. You do not like it.
So that's where we're going to leave it, I think.
So I think they've got a ways to go. I definitely think they're going to get their full season here. It's not going to be a Rush Hour scenario.
They're not canceling shows as quickly anymore because of a lot of online stuff. In fact, some networks waited till May to cancel anything last season.
Yeah, I know they did. I think they're
not canceling as fast because they're now taking into account DVR. They're taking into account streaming. They're taking into account online watching. So I think they're waiting because I think what happened, I think a lot of people got scared because of Selfie, which became a hit after they had already canceled it. And they even have said that was one of the things they regret. And I've read a lot of people, especially critics, who were like, damn it, I wish I had given it like 3 more episodes and it brought the noise. And I think that's what they're afraid of, is they had a hit on their hands. They canceled it. They had a knee-jerk reaction. Yep. You know, because who wants to watch a ginger and an Asian man? Everyone wants to watch that.
Jinx. So, I mean, and Fox especially is notorious for doing that. They've done it with, most notably, Firefly. You know, things like Freaky Links, Dark Angel. You know, they had 2 seasons, but I mean,
they cancel and they also mess up orders.
Yeah,
that's what happened with Sliders, is they messed up the order so much. People were like, the story doesn't make any sense.
They've done that with so many shows. It's pathetic.
They need to stop doing that.
They really do. Fox just needs to take their hands out of the showrunners. You know, stop making them dance for you. Let them make the show that needs to be made.
You know.
So, I don't know. I definitely think it's going to have its full run season, especially for the reasons that you listed. But I think it might have some trouble if it doesn't find its voice.
It just needs to find its voice, which... You know,
and
talk to me again. We can do this again in 6 months and do like a roundup of all the shows.
Right.
And talk to me in 6 months, and I might be like, it's the greatest show ever.
Right.
Probably won't, but I might.
It could happen. In my opinion, Psych didn't start out that great. No, and then it became awesome.
Parks and Rec didn't start out that great. They almost canceled that, and then thank God it became such a great show. But anyway.
Exactly.
All right, next one.
So that's where we are there.
Really long time.
Adrian, anything else to say about Law and Order before we wrap it up?
It's not Law and Order. It's
Law and Order.
I think, when I was watching the first episode and even the second episode, I was like, are they going to run out of a budget? Because I feel like when they run out of a budget and they can't do these explosions anymore, like there's not going to be much left.
Completely agreed.
And while I will say that the Riggs guy is not the best actor in the world, I don't know. People handle things differently, and he seems like the kind of guy that doesn't want to break down in front of people. You know, so I could kind of buy him like not crying at
Character-wise, yes. Character-wise, yes. Acting-wise, he does nothing to convey that on screen to me.
And I could agree with that.
So that's pretty much my issue. That's pretty much my issue with it, because that was something that Brooke and I were talking about while we were watching it. Character-wise, I completely agree with you, and Mel Gibson really portrayed that and, you know, brought that through in his performance. This actor, not so much.
Yeah.
That's my issue with him. But Murtaugh crushes it.
Oh, yeah. They nailed that one.
Murtaugh is the reason I watched the second episode, flat out. Flat out.
Agreed.
Next one is the one I wanted to bring to the table here, The Exorcist.
Sorry, that was the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that was Twilight Zone.
Nope, that's the X-Files. I don't know the theme song.
All right, so considering all the feelings that we had on Lethal Weapon...
I have just as many feelings on this one.
All right, well, Adrian, what did you think of Exorcist?
So I think there's more than one episode out by now, but I only saw the first one.
Same with me.
And I thought that first episode was very drawn out and not very interesting until the very, very end. I just thought they were trying to stretch it way too long for my taste, and so I don't know if I was sitting at home watching it. I don't know that I would come back for another episode. Maybe, but yeah, I wasn't that impressed. It's not to say that it was bad. It just seemed really slow. Just not the pacing I'd be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke?
I'm gonna agree with Adrian. It is not something I'd come back and watch. I just felt like the story again. People need to figure out, like, not tone. That one actually had its tone, like, pretty set. But they need to figure... What happened to subtlety? What happened to, like, less is more? What happened to, like, building on a mystery? Like, I felt like they threw everything at you all at once. Like, they had the one kid being exorcised and then the demon girl. Like, they didn't, like, let you kind of think. I think it would have been better if you were, like, guessing who was the one who's possessed, or was anyone really possessed, or was anyone, like, was it mental illness? Because I think that would have been more interesting, because the movie is a very short movie. Like, I mean, it's a long movie, but it's a movie. You have to kind of show that Reagan's possessed, so you got to get to the exorcism. That's the damn name of the damn movie.
And even
I
in
feel
the
like
movie,
the
they stretch it out for a while.
They could have gone a few episodes, like, being like, are they really insane? Is she really possessed? I feel like they're like, oh no, everyone thinks this girl's really possessed. Don't worry, there's really a demon. And I was like, you could have, like, done a lot with, like, you could have really asked a lot of questions that the movie tried to ask but really couldn't, because it was, you know, like, mental illness, and is the church overstepping, are they murdering people? But it was like there was no subtlety and no questions. Like, the little boy was possessed, the girl is possessed, there's demons, and the one guy is clearly a demon.
And the one misdirection they tried to give, like,
they gave it away 10 minutes later. I was like, okay.
Exactly.
Like, why do I need to keep watching? The little girl's possessed. I know the handsome, you know, Latino priest is gonna win because he's gorgeous, and so is the beautiful British one. They're both going to win because they're pretty. So why do I need to watch now? I know they're going to survive, and I just feel like they should have, like, not drawn it out, because I agree it was really drawn out, but I feel like they could have, I don't know, I feel like they could have really explored themes of, like, exorcism, like, demon possession versus mental illness, and is exorcism legitimate? Like, is the church, because the church still does them, they still teach it. I mean, you can still, if you're a Catholic priest, you can go to the Vatican and you can, like, be invited to learn how to be, like, exorcise people.
Yeah, so they actually have exorcism schools now.
I feel like they could have left a lot more, especially with the little boy in the beginning, like the little boy that the priest, they could have left a lot more ambiguity and, like, been like, did they really just starve the little boy to death, or was he really possessed, or was he nuts? There was no question in my mind he was clearly possessed. There was no question in my mind the girl was clearly possessed, and I was like, I just wish that you would. I feel like if you're going to do that, you should just call yourself American Horror Story and be season 2.
I get that.
And even that at least argued, you know,
that's
mental illness. I just feel like they, like, really kind of painted themselves in a corner now. Like, what are they going to do? Like, is going to be the priest, like, studying really passionately from Christian or Catholic dogma? Like, we know they're possessed. So what are we going to see? We're going to see a lot of girls strapped to a bed, kind of torture porny. It is. It's going to be bloody and torture porny and gross. And we're going to see a lot of a priest. Well,
as gross as we can get for a 9 o'clock time slot.
You know, and a priest studying Catholic dogma, and a bunch of people talking about, like, oh no, she is possessed. What is her name? Is it Pazuzu? Like, where can they go? Like, they're going to have an exorcism, I'm assuming, at some point.
You would assume.
Either that, or they're going to have 20 episodes and no exorcism on a show called The Exorcist. So to me, it's kind of like, where are they going to go? They're going to have an exorcism. There's a Lethal Weapon on Lethal Weapon, and there's going to be an exorcism in The Exorcist. So.
Hey. Riggs is the Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just feel like they could have taken an idea that's already been done. The movie's done. That's another thing that's weird to me. It's like, that movie didn't need to be done. Like, that movie's good. Like, leave it alone. It's fine. I feel like they could have taken a premise and, like, really argued, like, mental illness versus faith. Especially because the dad is clearly, I think they're going to do something stupid, like the dad's not really mentally ill either. He's, like, possessed or something happened to him. And I'm just like, you had a lot there, a lot of bones. And they didn't have any mystery. You knew by the end who was possessed. You knew the mom wasn't insane. I felt like there was a lot of, like, the mom could have been insane. And, like, I know the mom's not insane. I know the other priest isn't a murderer. And I know the third priest is going to win. So what's the point of watching? I assume at some point the pretty cute one that's possessed is going to say something foul. She's going to get all gross looking, and she's going to throw up soup at somebody. Why do I need to watch this? I've seen the movie. I've seen The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I've seen The Last Exorcism. I've seen the one where they're in the Vatican. I've seen literally
Vatican tapes.
15 exorcism movies. I'm good. I've seen, you know, if you're going to argue that, I've seen Paranormal Activity. I don't need to see this. I've seen it. We're good. So that's how I feel.
The interesting thing that I liked about it was that it makes it known that it takes place in the same world as the original Exorcism movie. It even shows the stairwell and everything like that. They don't really allude to Reagan or Father Merrin or anything like that, but it lets you know right up front that it takes place in the same, continuity.
Mm-hmm.
You guys definitely have brought like all of my qualms, and I have seen the second episode. I watched that today, even before we recorded. Believe it or not, the second episode actually is a little bit more stretched out and drawn out than the first.
Well, this is my thing. The thing is that there's real people who've claimed, like, in this world, there are people that have claimed that they've seen exorcisms. I mean, you can go, if you typed in exorcism right now, you'd see those pretty famous cases. The one that the exorcism is actually based on, that one of that girl in Germany that the exorcism of Emily Rose is based on. And the reason that they're scary, the reason that possession is scary, is because if the person's not possessed, then they're insane, and you can't fix them. And if the person is possessed, then they're freaking possessed by a demon. That's why it's scary, is because, like, there's no good outcome. You're either schizophrenic nuts, which is scary, or you're literally possessed by a hell beast. So to me, when it's like there's no question, it's kind of like, oh, you pick the less scary to me. Because you can't fight mental illness. That's why I kind of was hoping they were going to go that route, because it's a lot easier to exorcise a demon than it is to deal with a mentally ill or schizophrenic person. That would have been the scary thing. Like, oh my God, she's actually crazy. And what if there's like a bunch of mental illness in that house? The mom clearly has like Munchausen's by proxy, and the dad is losing his mind, and the other sister is clearly has antisocial personality disorders, and then the one that's possessed is clearly internalizing and going nuts. So I'm like, that could have been a great show. They made a musical of that. It's called,
Tommy?
I forget what it's called, but it's actually really good because you don't see the ending coming. But I'm just saying, like, that would have been the show. Instead, it's like, oh, the mom's not crazy, and the sister really is possessed. And also, that one sister, the blonde one, they need to get rid of her. She was a bitch. I hope she gets murdered. Like, I hope she gets murdered, like, halfway through. Like, she was horrible.
That was pretty harsh.
Not the actress, the character.
Yeah, I know what you meant, but that was harsh. The Exorcist episode 2 kind of bugged me a little bit more than episode 1 because it seems to be falling into the same trap that Sleepy Hollow is going into. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow always gave me the creeps as a little kid, and The Exorcist always creeped me out as a little kid because they were smaller, more intimate stories. The Headless Horseman, Ichabod Crane story, very centralized, very intimate, blah, 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 blah. And Sleepy Hollow ended up making it into a struggle between good and evil, heaven and hell, blah, blah, blah. And the Headless Horseman ends up being one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse type deal. Now, with The Exorcist, in episode 2, you find out that there is actually a bunch more demons that are living in tents outside the church.
Boring.
Now you find out that there's a lot more than just the one, and there's potentially an army of demons that are living in Chicago. And
that's where they would live. That or Detroit.
Well, true. I mean, that part plays. That plays. Yeah. But it seems to be falling into the same trap.
Or Portland.
If you want to do a story like that, do the more intimate story first and then expand upon it. Don't shoot your load right in the first couple of episodes.
Maybe the demons live in Portland. That would explain Portlandia.
Explain Portland.
My other thing is, like, how boring is it that they brought the Catholic Church in again? Like, there are other religions that do exorcisms. There's Jewish people do them.
Yeah.
I know, I think Hindus have a version of it. I'm sure Muslims do. I don't know enough about their religion to say.
Imams do.
I'm just saying, like, why not? I mean, I know why they wouldn't make it a Muslim, imam, but...
Yeah, but at the same time...
like, there are other religions. Like, it'd be cool to see, like a religious roundtable where the priest has to talk to the rabbi, and also
well, they don't start out this way because it's iconic and it's The Exorcist.
I don't care. It's
iconic. That's why they're not starting out that way. But I see what you're saying, and I completely agree with you.
I'm just there's so many other people, and with how much racial intolerance there seems to be lately. It'd be nice to see shows trying to, like, I'm not trying to be social justice warrior. I know people are going to say that. I'm just saying, as a human in the world, it'd be nice to see other religions brought in. I mean, there's not just Catholicism a lot of the Catholic rituals come from Judaism.
Yes,
so
they do.
I don't understand why not.
This isn't even just being a social justice warrior. This is also being like a pop culture junkie, sitting here and talking about
being
shows.
Somebody who appreciates story. I want to see some new shit.
Let's see some new shit.
I mean, they're starting to do more with Dybbuk, which I think another
that
movie
is
coming
so
out with Dybbuk.
Cool.
And I think that's the thing is, like, golems and Dybbuk. Like, if you actually listen to, like, some of, like, Jewish lore, it's like that stuff is freaking terrifying. Christians have nothing on Jewish people. Like, especially because this one's set in Auschwitz. It's a movie, I forget what it's called, but it's set in Auschwitz, and there's a Dybbuk. And
you were telling me about that.
How smart of a horror movie to set it in, like, Auschwitz. Brilliant. Like, that's genius. Who would have thought of that? So I'm just like, you had to pick, like, And also the other thing is, like, I feel like we've also seen, like, the Middle East, or not the Middle Eastern, the South American and the English priest, like, teaming up, like, to fight evil. It's like, really, there are priests in other places too, like African priests.
There are, well,
Middle Eastern priests.
There was that African priest in the
You know what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's other, like, I get that those are very Catholic countries, so I understand it.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I feel like we've seen that dynamic, though. Like, why does the other guy have to be British, though? Why can't he be French or Russian? Although that's technically, that's Orthodox, so I know it's like a different, whole different thing. But I'm just saying, like, let's bring some diversity in. I mean, there's other religions. Or even if there's, like, you have a main priest, fine. Why can't he then go and, like, talk to other religions? Like, I understand it's only been 2 episodes, but I feel like it's going to be very heavy. And I know why. It's because Catholic dogma is easy. It's an easy thing to put a show around because there's a lot of it and it's very visual and there's a lot. And I feel like it's easier than having to do research on, like, Jewish dogma or, you know, Islamic dogma or Hindu dogma. Like, I feel like it's easier just like, oh, Catholicism, easy, done.
Oh, there are Buddhist exorcisms.
There's a Buddhist hell, I didn't realize.
Yes, there is.
But again, I'm not a, you know, it would have been cool to see, like, actually getting into those religions, and so people could learn more about other religions. I think that's something that we could sorely use in this country, is like seeing another religion really being brought to the forefront. I feel like that would have been the place to do it.
You know, especially with Supreme Leader Trump, that's
our future Supreme Leader, when we won't even be able to talk about other religions.
Yeah, exactly. That's really stirring the pot and everything.
I know why, because there's only one religion that exists: Christians and Gentile Jews.
I was going to say capitalism.
Gentile Jews.
All right.
I forget. I do forget.
Well, Brooke has said her piece. All right. Last show on the list. Brooke, take us there.
Good Place. It's the only one I liked, and I know Adrian didn't like it, but I loved it. I thought that show was so funny, and I first and foremost, I'm a huge Kristen Bell fan. I think she's hysterical in everything that she does. I think she's adorable, and I just think the show is so cleverly written. I think it's really funny. I love, like, how that's what I feel like it would be like if someone who wasn't supposed to be in heaven was in heaven. They'd be like, shit, what am I supposed to do?
Now, Adrian, I know you didn't watch it. Do you know anything about the premise?
I have no information on it. I was trying to get around to it, but I'm trying to get more set up for next week. So,
Gotcha.
Basically, this is the concept. Follows Kristen Bell's character. What's her name?
Eleanor.
Sorry, I thought it was Elise for some reason.
It's Eleanor.
Eleanor, who dies. And she goes to the good place, a.k.a. heaven, although it's not really heaven. And that one guy got 92% correct.
Great bit. And the guy that's welcoming her to heaven is obviously an incorporeal being.
He's like not like an angel, because they really have stayed away from any kind of religious. And they even make a joke in the beginning that every religion kind of got it right. But one guy got 92% right.
He's kind of a rock star around here.
We have a picture. That's a
and
great
that guy's played by Ted Danson.
Yep. And so anyway, so Eleanor dies. And she goes to heaven, but it turns out they got her confused with someone else. So she's not really supposed to be in heaven, and only, like, the creme de la creme go to heaven. Like, they were talking about how, like, every U.S. president except for Lincoln was in hell.
Every single artist.
Even Florence Nightingale is in hell. She just missed the cut. Like, all the philosophers are in hell, except for, I think, like, Socrates. They're all in hell. You know, so it's, like, really, really hard to get in heaven.
They don't call it hell.
They call it the
bad place.
And so, she gets help from her soulmate, who's not really her soulmate, but when you die and go to the good place, your soulmate is there too, and you live happily ever after. And so her soulmate is this adorable guy named Chidi, and he was an ethics professor, and he's like, so his whole thing is trying to teach her how to be a good person so that she can stay there, but the world is falling apart because she's not supposed to be there.
The world is literally rejecting her.
It's not just her, though.
Turn. No, not just her.
But, I mean, and it's so, and then she has this, like, neighbor who you kind of hate, Tahani, but she's also, like, amazing, so you love her, but you hate her, and she wears big hats, and I just appreciate a good hat.
Tahani something, and it
means
translates
congratulations, beautiful. Oh, thank you, you big flirt. I loved that part. And then they have, like, this robot that, like, can talk, like, tell them anything. It sounds really dumb when I explain it. Like, I'm aware of how dumb it sounds, but trust me, it is one of those shows that it's like if they didn't hit the comedy so well, it would be so cheesy and stupid.
It would.
But they are so good with the jokes. Like, they're so aware of how dumb it is that they've made it work for them.
Yep. And this is a show immediately.
These cheers hit my ears like boxing gloves of sadness.
This is a show that immediately I started to get terrified that I watched it and loved it, because you guys know my track record.
Robbie's favorite shows always get canceled. We're
exactly.
Really scared that
every time I love a show, it immediately gets canceled.
They say it's like it's the hit of the season.
This one, sleeper hit of the season too, because I knew nothing about this show.
I literally had heard about it because I like Kristen Bell. And that's the only reason I had heard about it. And I was like, this sounds stupid, but I'll give it a chance anyways. It was like
Right.
it was like a pop-up when I was on like
And remember,
when I was on Wattpad, they now have like ads for certain people, certain authors. And it came up and I was like, this looks stupid, but I wanted to check it out because I love Kristen Bell. And so I clicked on, I'm like, Robbie, let's watch this. Oh.
and remember, Hulu was glitching that night too, so we almost didn't watch it.
It was so
We started to watch
funny.
something else. I'm like, no, let's watch it. We need to watch the new
so
shows.
funny.
It's spectacular.
Lord.
We've already watched all the episodes at least twice.
You know
I
what
mean-
you do have? My exact height and build. You get to be asked. So good. I'm just gonna randomly do that, but like, freaking out, yo. I'm sorry. I love that character.
So there's a silent Buddhist monk. There's her very, very flamboyantly British neighbor.
Who I love.
There's the
That's Tahani.
Yep. There's like the heavenly robot that's constantly getting reprogrammed with different
Janet.
personalities.
Yeah, she's great.
There's Ted Danson, who's obsessed with trying to use suspenders.
Yeah, he loves it.
Kristen Bell as Eleanor.
I mean, it's just I really like her, and I think her and the male lead, which is not technically Ted Danson. I think it's actually the guy who plays Chidi. I think you'd argue if you were nominating people for Emmys, Ted Danson would go in Best Supporting in a comedy.
For sure.
Whereas I feel like the guy who plays Chidi would be like Best Actor.
Yes,
I
agreed.
feel like because he's the straight guy. He is literally the straight guy, but he brings it so well, and he has those like little quips. He's like, "That's what everyone wants, from everyone else. That's what she wants. Wake up."
That's what everyone wants out of everyone.
So good. There's a tree that gets sad. It's so good. And I would say watch it now. Do it. I love it. It's on Hulu. You can watch it on NBC.com or NBC.com.
Yep.
You can illegally download it. Don't do that. We don't endorse that. Find it. You could have a friend like videotape it on their phone and you can watch it. Just watch it. It's hilarious.
Find a way to watch this show because this one out of any of the new shows that we
They're
reviewed,
always eating frozen yogurt, and I just think that's funny. Everyone likes frozen yogurt.
Yeah, that's why there's a frozen yogurt shop
Why
on
is
every
my
street.
plate empty? Your favorite meal is your hunger strike. Of course it is. So good.
This show, in my personal opinion, was the best one out of the entire list. All right, all of them had, in my opinion, their
knows what it
virtues
is.
and their drawbacks.
No, they know what it is. They know it's like a comedy that, and the thing is, it's the kind of comedy I think you could get a few seasons out of. Like, obviously, at some point, you have to get found, and then you're gonna have to go to the bad place, and whatever. But
you can stretch this show for as long as you need to.
It's the kind of show you could get away with it. I mean, if they could have Modern Family which I love, so I'm not saying anything against Modern Family.
The middle.
But how about like Lily is 10 now, and that show started when she was 6 months old. So and they aged her in real time. So I mean, if they can make that show last for 8 seasons, we can make this one last 6 seasons in a movie.
Exactly. So Lethal Weapon,
I mean,
some tonal issues.
The thing is, though,
Exorcist, some pacing issues. This show seems to have it on all cylinders.
If you can get Community for 6 seasons.
Yeah, and a movie.
There's no movie.
The movie's coming.
Okay. If you can get Community for 6 seasons, you can get The Good Place. Because that literally takes place at a community college with a bunch of weirdos.
Yes.
It takes place at heaven with a bunch of weirdos.
Yes. So.
And I have to say, for people that are supposed to be like literally the best people in the world, I feel like they've made them pretty rounded characters. Like they've made them.
They have.
None of them are like paragons of like awesome. They're all like, even Tahani, who's supposed to be like that girl that you're like everyone hates because she's so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've made her a little obnoxious, so you can kind of be like, okay, she's a little obnoxious, but she's such a good person,
Exactly. She's a little obnoxious, but you kind of love her in spite of it.
My hair is barely cascading down my shoulders.
So I mean, all of these people, they make them caricatures and people,
but
all in the
works.
same, all with the same paintbrush, and it's just perfect.
I feel like
the way they've crafted these characters is great.
I know what my emotional rant is going to be, so I'm going to wait until we get there.
Okay, well, we'll be there in just 1 second.
All right.
But seeing as though Adrian has not seen this show and basically knew nothing about it, I guess the way I want to bring you in on this is, how does this sound to you? Have we sold this show to you?
I don't know. It sounds interesting. I'll probably check it out at some point, but it's not like I'm dying to see it.
I think it's too cheery for Adrian.
Well, he's a dark, twisted soul.
He is. He's very, very dark. Hello? He just laughed at that.
He's just in there. I don't even know what to say to
Let's
that.
have Adrian say something, or because I feel like we've really dominated this conversation. I'm a very dominating personality, and Adrian has a lot to say, so we should let him say stuff.
I actually don't have much to say because I didn't get a chance to see it. So
I just meant about any topic in the world.
Your feelings on Cheerios?
overrated.
I would agree.
Cheerios are overrated. You people are the devil.
I agree completely.
You people are the devil. Cheerios are the best thing to give to your baby.
Nah,
When they have teeth, not when they're like gummy, because they would die. But like when they get teeth.
your feelings on Count Chocula being made seasonal.
Well, is that did Count Chocula? Did they have marshmallows in that one? I can't remember.
Yes.
I don't know. Chocolate and marshmallows seems like overkill.
I love Count Chocula.
I like it, but it's one of those things that always sounds like a good idea, and then you get like finished with the bowl, and then you're like, why did I do that to myself?
Yeah.
Kind of like Cookie Crisp. Cookie Crisp. That sounds like a great
Cookie
idea.
Crisp, I'm with you on that one, but the
Yeah,
Count Chocula, I'm always like, why did I do this to myself? I already drank the milk. Now I need to put more milk in there for my second bowl. Why did I do this to myself?
He loves
The Cookie Crisp, on the other hand, yeah, I agree. I take a couple of bites. I don't even finish the bowl before I'm like, why?
I don't know. I like Frosted Cheerios. That's my jam.
But that's just a ripoff of Frosted Flakes.
Not really, in the sense
I mean-
that Cheerios.
I mean, it's just bland and white, and just like, can't
You got a
we
problem
get
with
past
my
that?
bland white cereal? I guess I have a problem with your bland white protagonist. His oatmeal.
I mean, it's been done. It's been done. It's you got Frosted Flakes, you got frosted clumps of oats. It's been done. Give me something
Technically,
new.
Frosted Flakes just ripped off shredded wheat, though. Just ripped off shredded.
Wheat is shredded. That's shredded wheat. It's a different presentation.
Different. It's not the same. That's how I always feel about like corn pops, because I'm pretty sure you're not eating anything real. I'm pretty sure. That's why I always was confused. Have you ever noticed, like when you open other boxes of cereal,
Yeah.
the bag on the inside is plastic, like that weird like waxy paper.
Yep.
But when you open up corn pops, it's that weird like shiny metallic paper.
Yep.
Why is that? Is it because it's alien food?
I don't know, but I never eat corn pops as a cereal. I eat corn pops the way I eat popcorn.
Oh, I do too. I
I never have ever eaten corn pops with my milk
No,
and
I
with a
haven't
spoon.
either. I haven't either.
I've only eaten it out of the
because
box.
that's not how you're supposed to eat corn pops. But I'm just saying, I always thought that was weird that their bag was like metallic and everyone else's bag was like waxy.
Great, now
paper.
I want corn pops.
I have some downstairs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Your feelings on corn pops, Adrian?
They're all right. I mean, they're no Golden Grams or Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but corn pops are okay.
Love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. What? Amazing.
Wow, we cannot come to a cereal consensus. Fruity Pebbles. Fruity Pebbles.
No, I don't like Fruity Pebbles. I think that they're gross.
I think Fruity Pebbles is potentially the best bang for your buck because they're so dense. Like if you're gonna buy
I agree.
a box of cereal or even like one of those bags of cereal, the like bulk, they pack so much Fruity Pebbles in there that's probably your best bang for the buck.
What about-
Sort of like Raisin Bran, but nobody wants Raisin Bran.
What about like Lucky Charms? I'm a big Lucky Charms fan.
Love Lucky Charms.
Did you ever play the Lucky Charms game where you eat all the non-marshmallow pieces first, and then
Yes,
you
that's
just
how
have
I-
a
that's how I
like
eat
a
Lucky Charms.
giant clump of marshmallows
That's
at the
how I
end?
eat Lucky Charms.
Yep.
To this day, as a 28-year-old mother of one, that's how I still eat my Lucky Charms.
Mm-hmm.
I also enjoy Trick cereal, although I'm sad that they're not fruit-shaped anymore. They're just little balls now.
I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to have that.
What?
Tricks are for kids.
Listen, I'm a kid. I'm the youngest person in this podcast.
That was a
Segue.
cereal segue. That was a cereal segue.
That's an awesome name for like a cereal restaurant.
Yes.
Restaurant that just serves cereals.
Yes.
I'm ripping that off from The Office, but I don't care.
Touche.
Shoo-la-la.
All right, Brooke.
Yeah.
Do you want to rant us out with a emotional rant?
My emotional rant is this. First and foremost, holla to all my Wattpad listeners who are, I've literally put this link on like my profile and in my story. So if you've read my story and you know what it is, it's 187 because it's awesome. And you're also listening to this, thank you. But this is the thing that I keep reading over and over and
Well,
over.
what about our listeners that don't know about what Wattpad is? Plug your story.
Okay, Wattpad is an app or a website where, people can publish their stories. And I know it sounds dumb, but literally people have gotten actually published off this web. Someone, actually the biggest one was a girl named Anna Todd made 1.6 million off a fan fiction about Harry Styles, which is crazy. That's how I even heard about it, is she got $1.6 million and a movie deal for a book about Harry Styles. That makes me so angry.
He's not even the cute one.
He is the cute one. You will bow before his
Well, thank you for putting the D at the end there. We'll talk more about
Harry
this
Styles is the cute one.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Oh, he thinks that Liam is the hot one, or Larry, not Larry. What's his name?
I don't know.
He's half of it. It's not Liam. It's I don't care. Lewis. He thinks Lewis is the hot one.
Oh yeah,
Fuck
Lewis.
that.
Yeah.
He thinks Lewis is the
the
hot one. Lewis is the one with the imaginary baby. Okay, we're not going to get into that.
No,
that's
we're not
that's
gonna
a
get
whole
into
other story. Anyway, so Wattpad is a place where you can publish your like unpublished stories, and even if you're just trying to get published on your own, like it's a good way to get feedback and then have like the best polished product you can have to give to publishers. And if you can point to your story on this app having like 6 million reads, which it has, a lot of them have gotten, people are getting published left and right off this app. So it's like I had to jump on as a writer. And my story is called 1.8.7, which is the police code for homicide. That's all I'm going to say. Look it up. Read it. Do it now. I'll wait. Are you back? It was awesome, right? Awesome. So anyways, just to get my readership up, I've had a lot of like read for reads and critiques and book clubs and stuff like that. And I keep hearing the same thing over and over again. And it's actually, everyone loves it. Seriously, people really like it, which makes me happy. But the one thing I keep hearing over and over again is the word cliche. And the reason that's driving me up a fucking wall is there's a difference between a cliche and a freaking archetype. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing over and it's not just on my story. It's not just in other stories because I keep seeing it everywhere. It's also like when people talk about books or movies or a lot of movies, they keep talking about cliche. And the thing that's driving me up a wall is it's archetype. It's not cliche. There's a reason that things are cliche. There's a reason that things are archetypes. There's only so many people. There's only so many characters. There's only so many plots. Archetypes are a quick shorthand to make you understand. If I say the popular cheerleader, that might not be a real thing. If you went to school, I went to school, I can't name a single popular cheerleader that was popular. But when I say the popular cheerleader, you know that character. You see that character in your life. I don't need to then spend 14 pages like Stephen fucking King explaining the popular cheerleader. You get that archetype. Or the weird loser who's reading the comics. Now, obviously, comics are mainstream. Arrow, the Suicide Squad, Flash. Clearly, comics are mainstream. But we still have that idea in our head of like the Dungeons and Dragons kid. Stranger Things, that made that cool. But still, you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the Dungeons and Dragons kid. Right. You know what I'm talking about when I mean the football guy. You know what I'm talking about when I say the weird girl. I mean, the Breakfast Club said it best. I mean, those were all archetypes. They're very important. You have to have archetypes.
Like with the Exorcist, Father Marcus, you've got the tortured hero as far as the archetype.
You have to have archetypes.
But if he acts a certain way,
only
it
become cliche when you refuse to evolve them. You refuse to change them. I mean, if you just stick to the same the great plot that I see over and over and over again is the nerdy girl falling in love with the bad guy. They even did it on Arrow, which is really depressing. Mm-hmm. That's basically Oliver and Felicity's whole storyline.
Basically, yeah.
But I mean, it plays. People love that storyline. They love that storyline. I don't know why, but people love the bad guy and the nerdy girl. And it's a cliche. If you don't do anything with it, it's a cliche. And I mean, it's a cliche that sells. Holy fuck does that storyline sell. But you can do more with it. And once you start changing it and making it your own, it's no longer cliche. It's just an archetype. But I feel like people need to stop using those words interchangeable. Cliche and archetype are not the same thing. And the other thing is, people don't give things, I think it's a problem we have with this binge culture world, is people don't give things the time to like grow. We expect things, I know I'm being a hypocrite here, but I'm also talking about stuff like, a great example is, if you write something in the first 2 chapters and you don't explain it, people like point that out. Like, why didn't you explain this? And it's like, well, because there's like 14 more chapters left to go. Like, you got to give me time. That's called story building. And I feel like people are not quick to like let things grow anymore. Mm-hmm. But I think, you got to also be careful because you can do the other side, like the exorcism where you take way too long. But at the same time, not really. Yeah. My problem was exactly what I said is they threw everything at you. You're right. They threw everything at you in the first 2 episodes. Where do they have left to go? Yeah. They shot their load right there. The girl that's being possessed should not have been shown till at least episode 6 or 7, or at least 4 or 5.
I don't know about that. My thing, you shouldn't have found out which one it was until at least episode. Or
you shouldn't have found out that she was actually possessed. Like, it should be more of like a question of like she should have done something that's weird but not necessarily evil. Like, I don't know, like shoot a cat or something. Like, It's weird. Like, and I don't even say like kill it, just like shoot at it, or like smash eat a spider or something.
And then finding out about the army per se of the possessed people, you shouldn't find out about that until at earliest mid-season break.
Well, exactly.
I would say end of the season.
But exactly.
Keep it intimate for the first
But that's
season.
The thing is, like, a great example is like, what if she had just like eaten a spider or broke her fingernail off or something? All stuff that can be explained by mental illness. But instead they're like, she was clearly like possessed. She was like hanging upside down from the rafters. It was like, well, she's clearly possessed. Or Harley Quinn. Who's a bat person.
Yeah, one or the other.
So that's my emotional rant is like, things need to marinate, but people need to stop throwing out the word cliche like it's the word archetype. Archetypes have to exist. Literally, story is built on them. I mean, even look at Shakespeare. You can literally, every single one of his characters is cliche, but not really. They're an archetype. I mean, yes, he built all the archetypes, but that was like, in the 1400s, so he could. There's no more archetypes to build. He didn't build the robot that I know of. He might have built the robot. Hamlet might be a robot.
It's possible.
What if it's a time travel story? What? I actually don't like Shakespeare, but that's a whole nother rant I'm going to save that one for like November.
Okay.
My I hate Shakespeare rant, but that's a different rant for a different day. Also, starting next week starts my I hate horror movies rant, which I'm very excited. The Saw rant will be just the whole episode, so that's coming.
Oh, God.
Be excited, people. It's coming.
Maybe we'll just turn that into a bonus episode on Patreon.
No, I've been saying it for the people. I have something to say, and the creators of Saw need to hear it. I have been angry since I was 16 years old and Saw and had to go to the hospital the next day because I had a procedure. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to murder me for having to get something removed. God damn it. Because he seemed to kill people really arbitrarily. So. Kind of, yeah. Sorry, so anyways, stop calling things cliche. Stop pointing out that everything is exactly the same. There's only 7 storylines. But also to the people who are writing, do something different with those archetypes because then you do become a cliche and I have no pity for you. And that was a really weird one and it probably didn't make a lot of sense to you guys, but I feel like Kevin Smith, in the sense that it didn't need to make sense to you because it made sense to me.
And the 7 stories, man versus man, man versus dog, man versus zombie.
Is it machine versus dog?
Machine versus
and
dog.
Monkeys.
And monkeys, yeah.
Thank you, Nick Miller. And so anyways, that's my thing. Like, stop being cliche, but also stop calling stuff cliche. Like, learn to take archetypes. Learn what archetypes are, and then learn how to not make them cliche. And that was a really weird rant, but I felt like I needed to say it. So, booyah. Shamalama ding dong.
A emotional rant from Brooke. All right, well, I think that takes us out of it. That was this week on the Nerdynomicon. I've been Robbie.
I am often and forever Brooke.
And I'm sometimes Adrian when I feel like it.
Sometimes he's not Adrian.
Let's close the book on this week.
Peace out.